So, today we are here to talk about the finale of the formerly hit show Stranger Things that, by the public's opinion, sucked ass. And today I'm gonna try to explain to you why I personally think it sucked. So before we do that, I'd like to say a little bit of a disclaimer. This is not for the general audience, as people call it. It's more of a fandom-y side, you know? So if your take on the show is, well, if you don't like it, you don't watch it, or like, oh my god, it's just a show, go outside, then it's probably not for you. So yeah, I wouldn't want there to be too much negativity, even though this entire video is just made with pure hatred and disappointment. So, first section we're gonna cover is called No Stakes and No Drama. Obviously spoilers, and honestly, there's nothing to spoil since if you watched it, you know that absolutely nothing happened. And once again, we are faced with, I don't know, a writing trend that is for some reason exclusive to Stranger Things, and that is killing the characters that was introduced the same exact season. They put her in season 2, so it's not the same, but I would argue that it is, you know. You kinda are, you know, like what they say, if you skip the Lost Sister episode, nothing changes, and she hadn't really had any real influence on the story since her first appearance, so I'd say we take it as that. So yeah, you could say that Kali was introduced as a character in season 5, and by the way, here I noticed another thing about this trend, and that is, not only is the only character that dies introduced the same season practically, but also said character only has any real emotional connection to one other major character, but the rest of the cast does not care whatsoever. For example, Barb has Nancy, Bob has Joyce, Alexei has Mary, and Eddie has Dustin. And of course, Kylie? Oh my god. And of course, Kali has Al. Nobody else cares about them dying, which is again pretty disappointing because I thought this season, for some reason, is gonna break the mold and be innovative, but again, that's on me for making my expectations way too high for the show. I'm gonna talk about this reason specifically a little more in the interview/promotion thing, because it's more related to this rather than the show itself. Another thing related to the topic is, oh my god, just the pure amount of last minute or even second saves. And just in that episode alone, if I'm not wrong, I count at least 3 or 4, and they are exactly last second saves just to build non-existent tension. You know, in a way I even think that all the tension exists in some kind of superposition that is only there when there's no one to observe it. And once again, this season is no different from the rest of the show, aside from there being double the amount of last minute saves, of course, as I mentioned. And I get why someone would believe in them, and maybe I am so fucking negative all the time. Oh, that was a lowest impression. I believe it was Chris who said it. Anyway, the Steve scene is ridiculous. The Mary scene is ridiculous. How did Bro know when to do that? It would make sense for him to do that if he, I don't know, heard the conversation that was happening in the room, but he didn't. And if he would have been 1 second late, Hopper would have died, Kali would have died, and Hopper would have died. I mean, Kali already died, but I presume if that happened, they would have shot her in the head and she would die immediately. That's going too much into this. I believe that it's called Deus Ex Machina. But I don't really want to use Deus Ex Machina because it reminds me of CinemaSins, and I don't really like CinemaSins. Whatever. Basically what it means is there would be like, you know, drama and everything would be bad, and there would be Deus Ex Machina, aka God from the Machine, that will solve all of their problems last minute, and we had a happy finale. And that is basically what the structure of the plot is here. Writers themselves first write themselves into a corner, and then to solve that issue, they come up with something extremely stupid to justify characters surviving. And of course, as a conclusion, the funniest part of this episode to me was that not only did they kill the only character who has no emotional connection to the entire cast, aside from one singular character, they also were too afraid to kill Al. Kal-El, no. Okay, to actually kill Al. And they had to leave it up to interpretation, or a little bit ambiguous, which is a concept they apparently love right now. And that is the part that pisses me off the most. It just feels so cowardly and awkward in a way. I guess that there's most definitely a non-zero risk that, you know, they would get very real death threats if they killed someone. I don't know, like Steve, I guess. General audience loves Steve, so that would be a disaster. But come on, not a singular major character. That's ridiculous. In fact, his cast is so overblown because since season 1, none of the recurring major character died, and they only kept adding more and more and more. And this, for example, in season 3, they added Erica to the main cast. In season 4, they added, I don't know, I forgot. In season 5, they added Vicky, they added the science teacher. And the cast just keeps growing, and each character dynamic has less and less time to shine. With shows like that, usually, it's like the... I keep introducing Greek themes, but it's like kind of Ship of Theseus, where just they keep replacing that character. Like, like in Walking Dead, for example. I haven't watched it, but... some characters from the main cast usually die, and they introduce new characters in place for them. Except in Stranger Things, nobody dies, but they still add new characters. Back to 11, that I Believe segment had me laughing out loud. That's even worse than Will's coming out scene. About the Will's coming out scene, I don't hate it for the reason a lot of people do. I don't hate it because, oh my god, world is ending and he's here to talk about how he's gay. I feel like it's relatively important, except... God, this is gonna be a weird analogy, but it's like when, oh my god, it's like when writers write their own, fetishes into the show. Like, for example, let's say, Teen Titans Go, for example, like the fucking weird inflation episode. Like the weird inflation episode, and it's the same as like saying, but it had to happen for the story to progress. Yeah, and who wrote the story in the first place? It's not the character's fault, it's the writer's fault. Why did they even write it this way for it to be necessary? I hope you get my point. It was a stupid analogy, but so yeah. My point of critique on this is in what circumstances it happened exactly. Call me too woke, but to me it feels a little bit homophobic on the writer's part to have a gay character be forced to come out by his abuser. And if you saw what the implications were in the first 5 minutes of season 5, then you know that it's even worse than it seems. It felt kind of toxic and like low-key evil, okay? But like I said, I might be too woke. Not only is he forced, but he's also, for some reason, again by the writers, because it wasn't necessary for the story itself, he's forced by the writers to come out in front of literally everybody in the damn town. Alright, go invite, I don't know, Barb's parents, go invite Joyce's husband. I mean, he wouldn't be the least random person there. Invite, I don't know, Elle's sister. Oh wait, you already did. Okay. So yes, that's my main point of critique. It just feels weird. And okay, hot take, which is very weird. I don't think it's bad or unrealistic or stupid that not a single character out of those 15 plus people turned out to be homophobic. What did you want to happen if you expected that? I mean, it would be kind of stupid. The entire series point kind of is to accept each other's differences, even though the writers kind of forgot that characters themselves didn't. And I think it's okay, and it would be actually extremely weird for even one of them to be homophobic. Like, name one character for whom it would make sense. Okay, I heard you say Hopper. I mean, he wouldn't be. No, Joel wasn't homophobic, and that's who he's based off, okay? So yeah, and I hope we take all of the hatred towards the bridge episode and redirect it towards the finale, which is what we're gonna talk about right now exactly. Or at least hate on the coming out scene for the right reasons. Come on, people. Did you really want someone to stand up and call Will a slur? Why would you want that? Anyway, okay, we're back to the final episode. Oh my god, wait, I wrote a bit in the notes and I forgot to do it. Anyway, I'm just read it to you. Like comedians do. Except it's not really funny. Phrase goes, I was really surprised that after Derek, became delightful Derek, this didn't turn him into dead Derek. Funny? I hope you laughed. Because I really remember when the first promotion material for season 5 was coming out, and there would be posters, and Derek got a poster as well, and everyone was saying, oh, that's another character that they're gonna just kill off. Who is this random? Get him off my screen. And I'm glad it's not that way. I'm glad he didn't die, kind of. Because it would be kind of weird for them to kill children. I mean, okay, well, okay, they were unnamed. I guess it's okay. But I mean, they wouldn't go as far as killing unnamed pregnant women, right? Okay. Nobody cared? Yeah, nobody cares. Okay, this is going over. Final fight. I don't really like the idea of the final big bad villain, evil creature feature being the same as the season 3, which is just Mind Flayer in the flesh. It's just kind of stupid. I mean, I didn't really like the idea of Vecna being the villain as well, because the mystery kind of, disappears when you make the villain talk and have aura farming moments, but that might just be me. The reason it even feels that stupid is that Stranger Things hasn't even gone for so long for them to start repeating themselves. It's only 5 seasons. How hard it is to come up with something new. Make a new storyline. But yeah, it's not ridiculous to say that the battle against basically the same entity, like I said, felt much more tense and entertaining in season 3, even including the never-ending story segment, which was like a silly haha joke, but despite that, it was still epic and it was still cool, kind of, and it took up an entire episode and not 10 minutes. I didn't really like the design of the entity itself as well. It didn't feel intimidating or scary at all. In season 3, it didn't either. I forgot. But at least those are actually real, formerly living people's melted bodies. So that's kind of something horrifying. But here it just felt like a Resident Evil final boss. I wouldn't be surprised if Ada Wong herself came down from a helicopter and tossed Nancy a rocket launcher, and that still wouldn't be the least sensical thing in the show. So yeah, we all know the final battle sucked. It's been beaten around so much, and it deserved every single second of it. Speaking of being beaten up, I have a TikTok comment for you here. I'm just gonna read it out loud. I stole it, okay? Someone said, bullies in episode 1 did more damage to Dustin than the Mind Flayer did to the entire group in the finale. And I couldn't agree more. Oh my god. Next section that we have on our plate is character dynamics. This is gonna be a short one. Just very brief. We all know dialogue kind of sucked this season. Dustin and Steve pissed me off. Jonathan and Steve pissed me off. Why are you trying to go get her flowers at the hospital when her sister is an evil, scary dimension and you can go and fight and try to find her sister in evil, scary dimension? Why would you want to go get her flowers in the hospital? Anyway, Jonathan and Nancy. Don't even get me started on Jonathan and Nancy. How could you possibly write a breakup scene that bad so that you have to actually genuinely go on an interview and say, by the way, this was meant to be a breakup scene? Personally, I didn't get it. And no, I'm not the most media literate person ever, but I took it as, do you accept my proposal? As in, we're gonna die anyway, so would you marry me if we would be able to live for longer? And I took it as that, and I thought they were engaged by the end of the episode, but apparently not. More on that for interviews later. And all of these things later, previously or after that, are not jabs at actors themselves. Even great acting, even good acting maybe, can save abysmal, diabolical, evil, stupid dialogue, okay? And no, I'm not gonna hate on Millie Bobby Brown. I'm sorry if you really wanted to see that. And the things that I hated the most about character dynamics this season is not even what I mentioned before, and it's that they just lost all chemistry for some reason, every single one of them, but the fact that they're just a very apparent lack of communication at all, especially with each kind of group informing each other of what happened. We all love those bits when, we have multiple storylines going on at the same time, and at the end, they reconcile and exchange information. Like that mall scene from season 3, and favorite scene for a lot of people, and it was still good, even though season 3 sucked megacoculus. But we'll talk about it later. Maybe in like a 5-hour Stranger Things retrospective, especially now that finale's out and I can list every continuity error. Would anyone like that? Okay, so yeah, write in the comments if you'd like that. This is such stupid self-promotion. Anyway, back to what I mean. What I mean is lack of communication, and more so, lack of reactions by characters. Why does nobody care about anything? I don't even know. Karen does not care that Hopper's alive. Max doesn't care that Hopper's alive. I mean, that's probably not the first thing she would worry about, but could have mentioned that sooner or later. Why does literally nobody care that Will has powers? One moment that I remember distinctly is when Will told Max to run even through Vecna, and she was like, oh, that's Elle, and she's coming to save us. But it wasn't Elle. it was Will. And as I remember, they never really had that conversation, like between Will and Max. By the way, by the way, I did that, not Elle. I mean, it would be stupid and like Will would come off as entitled, but someone else could say it, or she could find out through some, I don't know, circumstances. Lack of reactions to Will having powers, lack of reactions to Hopper being alive, lack of reactions to Max waking up. Like, reconciliation with Elle is so stupid. Elle's not stupid. It just felt like they accidentally swapped Elle's and Will's lines, because why are Will and Max besties for some reason? The last time they ever interacted was in season 3. They haven't even seen each other throughout the entirety of season 4, by the way, and by the end of season 3 they weren't really friends. I mean, they were friends, but weren't friends, and now in season 5 they're besties. What is happening? I remember someone talking about Cutgate, which basically means that there were like an hour of footage cut from each episode. I personally don't believe that, because we all know that Netflix loves that bank, and if there was really that much material, they could have made it so there would be season 5 part 1 and season 5 part 2 to stretch it out for even longer than it is right now. So that's why I initially didn't really believe that. Oh my god, my voice is so hydrated. Stay hydrated. But when someone said that Will was obviously meant to help them escape and they were meant to interact a lot there, and that's why they would have such a close relationship, and I think that's what it is. I just Loki forgot to fix that, because apparently there are so many continuity errors. It's ridiculous, to the point where I can't even blame people for believing in Cutgate or Conformity or anything else for that matter. Now we've got to my personal favorite section. What were they even doing, aka what the thumbnail presumably will say. Okay, I'll even pull up some quotes that I have on my phone right now. Wait a second. Yeah, I made a Reddit post actually. It got like one upvote and someone told me to go outside and touch grass. Anyway, and I quote my hated Reddit post. Okay, here we go. The upsetting part comes from everything outside of it, stuff like promotion material, interviews, or in other words, expectations set by the writers themselves and not the people who watch them. And there's absolutely zero point in bragging about the fact that no one has guessed the ending right, as there was nothing to guess to begin with. That was the most obvious outcome, which is the exact reason not many people thought that something so basic could possibly become the finale of the hit show Stranger Things. Honestly, if you went on the internet and said, guys, I think they're gonna defeat Vecna in 10 minutes, and also I think no one's gonna die, but like Elle kinda dies, but then she also like is alive, but that's ambiguous, that's an open-ended ending. People, I'd imagine, would not like that. And here I have a very personal question to you as the audience, because I might be stupid, I might have no media literacy, but there are some things that I personally didn't get at all. So remember them explicitly saying that there's gonna be some big twist and the finale that'll make us see the show differently on rewatch. What could they possibly mean by that? The fact that Upside Down was actually a wormhole in another dimension and not the another dimension, but that doesn't change anything about the show, about the story, or about character dynamics, or about characters themselves? Or does it mean like, guys, finale is gonna be so disappointing that whenever you try to rewatch the show, you will contemplate whether it's even worth it or not at this point? What do you guys personally think the big twist was supposed to be? My bet is like on the nature of where the Upside Down comes from, but they already kind of made that type of twist in season 4 episode 7, the massacre at the Hawkins lab. So okay. And now, quote by Ross Duffer. Oh wait, not quote. All the stuff they were saying before volume 2 dropped, like it's so ridiculous. It's gonna be evil Christmas. I was ready to go watch volume 2 of the hit show Stranger Things on platform Netflix on Christmas. Little did I know it was actually evil Christmas. That's a spoiler for the next video, but yeah. Why did they mean but like bloody Christmas or whatever they said? And the direct quote by Ross Duffer: I want people to brace themselves as they go into the finale. Brace themselves for what? What did bro mean by that? For the death of a character that was introduced the same season, that no one in the community likes? And my favorite or least favorite part of quote-unquote false advertising, if you can even call it that. What did cast mean by describing season 5 as traitor? Basically, there were a bunch of interviews where, they would ask the cast to describe the season in one word, and I believe it was Caleb but I forgot actually. I believe he's a traitor. Who was it supposed to be? I mean, I can't be that stupid that I would miss it, you know, miss something so potentially plot relevant. Was it supposed to be like, was it like Hopper because he left the Sister 6-7 behind almost? Or was it like Derek because Vecna called because Vecna called his sister a bitch and so he didn't want to help them anymore? Or was it Will because he was low-key a spy again, but like for 1 second? But then also Vecna could have just, you know, known that Max was still alive, and if she's still alive then she's probably in a coma and then she's probably in a hospital. Or was it, oh my god guys, I think I got it. I think it was supposed to be Dustin because they went to play D&D and he went to popular girl Stacy party. So that's probably the answer. But on a serious note, yeah, tell me, who was the traitor supposed to be? Big question. Now my least favorite section. What was the message of the show even supposed to be? You know, Stranger Things is often described even by the actors themselves and by the writers themselves as a show about outcasts, freaks, weirdos. I would even play Creep for you if it wasn't copyrighted. The final message of the show was kind of unclear to me, and once again, for that reason exactly, I can't blame people who genuinely believed in Conformity Gate, because a secret Evil 9's episode makes way more sense than the entire epilogue does. So basically, if you lived your entire life miserably, helping other people at your own expense, and no one ever truly understood you, and your only experience of living as a semi-normal teenage girl was relentless bullying, so then you should sacrifice yourself and die. Not necessarily that exactly, but you know, you see my point. Why is Ella was miserable? Why is she a prop for Mike's character? For Mike's non-existent character, by the way, because, oh my god, another TikTok quote. Just because they asked Finn Wolfhard to carry a lot of emotional weight this season doesn't mean he agreed. This is not hate to the actor, but emotional weight where? Why would you tell him that if you didn't write anything cool for his character? Huh? Or the fact that Dustin is bullied, but then a year and a half everyone loves him, and then even popular girl Stacy invites him to the cool kid party. But then he also low-key had a girlfriend that is like a nerd and a freak because the show presents her that way. But then he ditches a nerd girl to be with popular Stacy girl. Okay, that's great. And the last final thing, it's so funny. Remember the last bit when Max said that, oh, so what, now they live happily ever after? The story's so stupid, and that's obviously meant to be a joke at oh my god, the people who'd be unsatisfied with a finale like that, with a finale was everyone happy, so people like me, and hopefully you. And I feel like it's just kind of pathetic to use a character as a mouthpiece to make fun of your fans that just wouldn't like the ending you wrote, except that the ending you wrote is absolute dog shit. That's interesting. And this video is already presumably half an hour long, and I haven't even covered any of the actual factual plot holes, just the ones that are relevant to the main plot itself, and I didn't even cover the things like quote-unquote birthday gate, or why is Will part of the hive mind but then he doesn't feel pain of the hive mind, where were Demogorgons. Also a big bonus to the interview section is that I didn't even know what they're doing. Like I said, I can't blame people for believing in Conformity Gate, because what are those responses? I mean, I guess they were there. I mean, I don't know, maybe they broke up off screen or something. What? That's so stupid. So yeah, this was my review of the, like I said, formerly hit show Stranger Things, and you go and hit that like button. Oh my god. Don't. If you didn't like the video, you can not do that. Leave your opinion in the comments. Leave your opinion on your take. Your opinion on my takes. Leave some of your takes in the comments. I would really appreciate that. So yeah, this was it. I mean, this entire thing was very strange, but I guess we've seen stranger things. So fucking stupid.